investigation. Clues that linked Migori Governor Okoth Obado to the murder. It is said it is a testimony of one of his aides, Caspar Lobiero, clerk in Migori County, was linked to the car suspected to have been used in the crime that led to the arrest of the Migori governor. Of course, it continues to be a very sensitive story. We are very careful, but we will have to report what is happening. Very quickly, Dismas, so far, what do you think of the case so far? Of course, the latest being the arrest of the Migori governor.
Well, so far there's a lot of information coming out to the media, leaked maybe by the intelligence services or the criminal services. But at the end of the day, really, is when we get somebody who's been taken to court, arraigned before court, and found guilty of this murder. Because as a nation, Kenya, we've got a horrible track record of these murders. There are many high-profile persons who've been killed, but we don't know what happened. I mean, for instance, there's the case of Msando, there's Jacob Juma, there's Robert Ouko. I mean, the list is as long as your arm, but it's never been sorted out. So all these stories which have been leaked to newsrooms by investigative agencies, in my view, they count for zero till we get the architects of the crime and the people who did the actual murder behind bars. And at this stage, the challenge still goes to President Kenyatta to ensure that the criminal justice system has got sufficient resources. For instance, I'm not sure whether Kenya has got a very solid forensic lab that when you're going to present evidence before a court of law is going to be bulletproof. Because what people like Kipchumba Karuri and friends who are lawyers, they find most of the time the evidence presented to be so shoddy that having the state win a matter of murder is a very tall order. And at this stage, we need to ask ourselves, if you're really committed about sorting out these murder cases, do we have those very solid forensic labs which will be able to give us solutions?
Mark, what do you think? I mean, Obado's lawyer, Cliff Ombeta, has said that the fact that it is very clear that there was a relationship between the Migori governor and the deceased Sharon Otieno is not motive or evidence of murder or anything. Yet a lot of Kenyans have been prosecuting this in the court of public opinion. How hard is it going to be to draw that line?
Well, I'm not a lawyer, but I try and understand legal matters from a very pragmatic perspective. First, if you watch channel 171 on DSTV, it talks about criminals, and every time someone is killed, the first suspect is always a lover or a spouse. That is common knowledge. But in this particular instance, you look at the car, it points back to one person. You look at the people involved, it points back to one person. So there are only two logical conclusions. That number one, he's made such enemies that they want to frame him so perfectly, and they left no stone unturned in framing Obado. Or two, all the evidence is pointing straight to his doorstep. Now, as a matter of public opinion, this matter has been tried and concluded a long time ago, and given the fact that there's now stories concerning two things. There's one at 35 to 25 million shillings house, and then there's children who are living out of the largesse of the governor. There are two things here, and Kenyans must be very clear. The murder of Sharon will be prosecuted to its logical conclusion.
Right.
However, we, the public, have a responsibility to ask the question that how is it that this governor is purported to have expatriated 3.5 billion Kenya shillings of taxpayer money, and he is still in office.
All right.
Given this kind of situation, if we were a civilized country, what we would have asked for is for him to step aside to allow for investigations to happen.
All right.
That is where the court of public opinion must rightfully conclude.
All right.
Yeah.
That story is on the cover page. You can check it out in more detail on page